You hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/inkdependence keeps this channel ad-free. Hello folks, welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and this is a sample of an ink. This is KWZ's Meet Me in St. Louis 2023, and it's called Missourah Crawdad. This is the latest in this series. I think it is the 6th ink that they have done. This means it's the 6th year of the St. Louis Pen Show. They've had a KWZ each year, and this one, as you can maybe see here, is a very nice reddish orange. And it does have a little bit of that signature KWZ vanilla smell that they get from the biocide and that sort of thing in here. And I think it's kind of pleasant. It's not as strong as some of the other ones I've smelled, but it definitely is a little bit vanilla-y in the bottle, not from the pen or anything like that. So let's take a look at this cool ink that you can pick up at St. Louis this weekend at the Pen Show. All right, hold on. All right, so thanks go out to the St. Louis Pen Show and especially Ken for sending this out for review. It's so nice that Ken always remembers my little channel when it comes to Pen Show time. So this is what this ink looks like on paper. It is, as I said, a pretty like a reddish orange, but it's like kind of a soft reddish orange. I really like the look of this. I've had it in this pen right here, which is a Pilot Custom Heritage 91, but it is a very dark burgundy. As you can see there, really nice pen. It's got a medium nib on here. These medium nibs are usually a little bit on the wet side, and this ink is maybe a little bit on the dry side, so it feels pretty medium from this nib, and so that tells me it's a little bit dry, but only a little bit. That does happen a lot of times with orange inks, and it's not really anything to worry about. Just put it in a wet nib, and you'll have a perfectly good time with it. It is pretty good on the 20-pound paper, as we will see here shortly. Has a little bit of shading, as you can see up in here and around, and there's the pen that I was using, and look, this is a very cool orange. Well, actually, I guess I should say it's kind of a warm orange, but it's a really nice looking orange, and I dig it. Now, it is a lot like some other oranges out there. I'm gonna show you a bunch of ink samples here at the end. We'll take a look at chromatographies and all that jazz. Oh, and this is my usual Nebula Casual Note 90 grams per square meter paper, which is what I have started using for these reviews, and it has worked really well on this paper. Of course, no bleed through or anything like that, but this is very tough paper, so not a surprise there. All right, let's go ahead and do our water drop test here. Okay, let's get a little bit of water on the subject. Not really expecting any particular water resistance here. Orange inks are not usually known for their water resistance, so wouldn't be surprised if we don't have much. But it actually looks like it's kind of doing okay. Let's give it a little shake and a shimmy there. How about that? There we go. All right. Yeah, you can see a lot of the text has faded, and I don't know if there's going to be anything left. But you never know until you try. It's pretty much gone. This paper, of course, holds up really well to water. But yeah, it mostly came up on our little handy dandy paper towel here. And while you can sort of make that out a little bit, it's pretty much gone. No real water resistance to speak of here. Now, I do have this on 2 chromatography samples here because I've been messing around with like real scientific chromatography. Oh, that's actually kind of fun. Look at that little... Oh, that connects. I've been messing around with real chromatography paper here. So this is a nice tight weave. It's kind of scientific stuff, and it's supposed to give you nice color separations and that sort of thing. It's okay. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I think it does look really nice. The tighter weave here gives you less of this negative space, and I think it looks pretty good. And the colors do seem to come apart pretty well. Same kind of effect going on here. Nothing left where it started except for maybe a mild pink stain, and then yeah, just sort of mottled orange going up. So what's in this ink? Orange is in this ink. All right, so here we have it on our copy paper. This is the 20-pound, 30% recycled copy paper from Staples that you would find like your office copier. That's kind of what we have in our copier, and it's fine. It works pretty well on this paper, actually. I mean, you can see like a little bit of feathering here and there, maybe a little bit of spread here and there. The S's in Missourah are a little bit spread and a little bit feathered, but not too bad. And then on the back, very, very little bleed. It seems like it's doing pretty well. In fact, it did at least as well as everything on this page, except for perhaps this one, which is Andrelium roseate spoonbill, which is a really shocking pink, but is really good on this paper. But everything else, I think, bled at least as much as this and probably more. So pretty good on the copy paper. It'll work on your office paper if you need it to. Then here I have on some Mormon Mnemosyne paper. This is a paper that I really like, and I did a little bit of transcription as usual, and it looks great on this paper. The flow was good, it felt good on the nib, and it looks nice against this slightly more cream paper. So yeah, pretty good, and no bleed through or feather, really hardly any show through even with this paper, which is pretty darn good. So yeah, really nice. I'm in favor of this. You can see a little bit like the F and the I and the R there and a few other places. One of the hallmarks of a slightly dry ink is that you will get like these areas where it just kind of like peters out or like sort of like pull the ink along the line. You'll end up with like really light bits like at the top of the F where you go like this. So that's not super surprising, and it does happen. Not a big deal, but something to be aware of, and maybe something you'll see in your own writing sometime. And here we have my wheat straw paper from Inky Fingers, currently inked notebooks. You can't really get this anymore, but it is pretty close to sugarcane paper, and you can find that from several sources these days. Here it is on this paper, and I think it's okay on here. I think the slight dryness of this ink coupled with the way this paper feels has made it look a little bit pale in a few areas. Like this 5 just didn't really want to, I don't know, didn't really want to go down there. Didn't want to stick to the paper too much, kind of stayed in the nib, which is, you know, a thing that dryish inks will do, but pretty nice, pretty nice. And then my Galen Leather Everyday book. This is Tomoe River. Everybody knows Tomoe River, although it is getting harder to find. There's the Missourah Crawdad there, and it looks great on this paper. It did really well on Tomoe River. It's interesting that it did better on Tomoe River than it did on the wheat straw stuff, because usually things that'll let it soak in a little bit more will have more color even with a drier ink. This one, on the other hand, just looks great here, and it's a little bit pale on here. So yeah, interesting effect we've got going on there. All right, time for color comparisons. These are my Colodex cards. Found these from Well Appointed Desk. You can go and find them over there. From Anna, she makes these. And here is Ferris Wheel Press Pumpkin Patch, which is definitely a more yellow than Missourah Crawdad. I'm gonna kind of range it like this, I suppose, because I have a lot that are kind of more red and some that are like kind of close. So here we have Diamine, Orange, and Pumpkin, which are not quite the same. They're kind of also straddling the line over here. Orange is brighter and slightly less yellow, I suppose, more true orange. And then Pumpkin is a little bit more on the reddish side than Missourah Crawdad ends up being. Then we've got Mont Blanc Lucky Orange, which I think is very, very close to Missourah Crawdad. And we have Robert Oster Galen Leather Rust Orange, which is again very close, extremely close match actually. And they're both running a little bit dry. I think Missourah Crawdad is a little bit less dry perhaps than Rust Orange. Rust Orange is fairly dry. And we've got Van Diemen's Harvest Golden Nugget Pumpkin. And this is one that somehow escaped containment. And it's like, I don't know, somehow got out of the bottle and soaked through the box. It was weird, but that's, I don't really have much of this left. It almost all got soaked up, but it's fairly close. A little bit more red, perhaps. We can put it kind of over here. And then we've got Graf von Faber-Castell Burned Orange, which is surprisingly good orange. Really, I was shocked by how much I like this, but it's a little bit more red than Missourah Crawdad. And then lastly, Robert Oster and Penaddict Fire on Fire, which is pretty darn close. Although Fire on Fire does have this interesting bit of like shine to it that Missourah Crawdad just kind of lacks. But again, this one's a little bit on the dry side, so is that. And so a lot of these things that are in this sort of reddish orange area are just going to be a little bit drier, and that's just kind of the way it goes. So put them in your wetter nibs and you'll like them more. So this is Missourah Crawdad. Thanks again to the St. Louis Pen Show for sending me this ink, for trying out, and for showing to you. You can find this in 60 ml bottles. It is $20 a bottle at the show, and if they have some left over, usually they'll sell it sort of online. But if you're going to the show, definitely pick up a bottle of this if you're into this this cool reddish orange. It's real neat. And thanks again to Ken for sending this out. I will see y'all in another video. Peace out. Hello, folks. Welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and this... Oh, no.